Providing live finance advice on WMAC since 1993. It's time for Your Money with Steve Rosenberg, Sherri Goss, and Randy Goss. To participate in today's program, call 478-742-0940 with your financial questions or comments. And now live from the Macon studios of News Talk 940 WMAC, it's Your Money.
Morning and welcome to Your Money. Steve Rosenberg, Sherri Goss are here with Rosenberg Financial Group. CT is here keeping us on the air. 742-0940. We're live. So if you want to call us, 478-742-0940.
742-0940.
We've only said that for 30 years. They haven't changed the number.
You must not have had your coffee this morning. Oh, you don't drink coffee. Never mind.
Coffee, no.
I had too much coffee. I do that on Saturday mornings because I get up early, and I'm like, oh, I know I really shouldn't have more than one cup, and I always do it on Saturdays for some reason, and I really my head
wound up.
My head is tingly.
Uh-oh, we're in trouble.
My brain cells are all rubbing together.
Hold on to your radio; it'll start shaking partway through the show.
So, did you see where the House passed a spending bill to avoid a government shutdown?
No, I didn't see that.
We don't need a government shutdown in the midst of all of this trash going on.
So anyways, the article in this morning's Atlanta Journal-Constitution, the headlines is Georgia withholds school COVID-19 counts from the public. Georgia health officials have decided to withhold information about coronavirus infections at each school, saying the public has no legal right to information about outbreaks that the state is investigating. The Georgia Department of Public Health started requiring weekly reports from the schools last month and initially said it might share their information with the public. The decision not to reveal the number of COVID-19 cases and related quarantines and clusters means the only recourse for parents and teachers trying to gauge the risk is the willingness of their local school system to publicize its own data. And then Houston County was mentioned in this article.
Oh, really? Because I haven't heard anything. The schools have been open. There's been nothing in the news. What's the deal?
So it says parents such as somebody in Houston County, south of Atlanta, have been swapping information on Facebook, too. She said the principal at her son's high school alerted the parents about a coronavirus infection in August, but chose not to tell them about a second one that he learned about soon after. Bonner said he also told her son, and later her, when she confronted him about it, that they had a right not to answer the phone if contact tracers called. Her son had to quarantine due to contact and stuff like this. So, and then I got a text, I think it was from Dave, my son Dave.
Who's in
Nashville.
About
because we're talking about getting together with the family.
Oh, I thought you canceled that
for Thanksgiving. Well, it's kind of half canceled right now.
Well, while you're looking for that,
yeah.
Mexico. Did you see the article about Mexico wants to ban junk food? They want to ban junk food. They want to ban junk food ads because they have correlated obesity in young people, that the children who are obese are who die from the virus. That is the biggest factor in children getting the virus and dying from it. Because if you're obese, you have other underlying health problems. It says more than 70,000 Mexicans have died from COVID, the world's fourth highest recorded death toll. 2/3 of those had underlying medical conditions such as obesity. And they wanted to ban soda. And so they're talking about all these different places that are talking about the same thing. There are studies in Europe about the same thing. London says ultra-processed foods make up more than half the calories consumed by British people. That shocks me. I thought they were healthier. I didn't think they were adopting all of our stupid eating habits.
They are.
Well,
because all our horrible restaurants are everywhere.
Ultra-processed food sets you up for inflammation, which COVID is happy to exploit. There's another good point in here. This thing is like 20 pages long. Aren't you glad I'm not reading the whole thing? In the UK, they're restricting junk food ads. Prime Minister Boris Johnson announced that he intends to ban TV junk food advertising and limit in-store promotions. He wants to stop online ads for unhealthy food. But the problem is with trying to stop it in Mexico, and I can't find this thing, but I'll just say it, they can stop the stores that are licensed. They can stop licensed legal stores from selling junk food, but you can't stop the street vendors. Their businesses will explode if this gets banned because you can't control, their government doesn't have a way to control those people. It's just like when we were in Korea and you could go out at night and all these street vendors that are absolutely not licensed or regulated just selling all sorts of stuff that I got extremely sick from one time. I mean, extreme food poisoning because you're out eating. You just assume people are going to be a good vendor and then you go eat something and you feel like you're going to die. But
yeah, so when I was in Okinawa, they said don't go to the local restaurants.
Yeah.
Just go to the ones on base.
Right. We didn't listen to that advice at all. But anyway, so what'd you find in your text?
No, this was a text David sent me. He said, I can't remember if I told y'all, but I talked to a principal this week. Her sister just passed away. She had a 4-year-old grandson in preschool. He hadn't had it, but didn't have any symptoms. He had it, but didn't have any symptoms. He hadn't seen his grandma, social distancing, and really wanted to see her. They finally gave in, let him go see grandma. She got it from him, went to the hospital, and passed away.
Wow.
That's my biggest fear with visiting family and schools reopening.
Right.
Because you can't control what the kids, now the kids are around other kids.
I don't think we can control this, period.
But if the kids are isolated at home, you can control it better than if they're in a school and who knows what the parents are doing with the kids in the school.
Here's another scenario, though. So our daughter's in Colorado. She has a 2-year-old in daycare. They both work. The husband works outside the house. She works inside the house. They go to the gym. The gym is open. No one in the daycare has been sick at all through this whole thing. They have never shut it down, ever. And nothing bad has happened, and none of them have had it. So you have cases like that. This makes no sense. Because those kids are going home and being around their family and their siblings and all of that, so why aren't they spreading it? I don't understand. It's just all over the map. You just have to be careful. I mean, that's the bottom line. So that's all you can do. Because I don't know the answer.
Maybe the people in Colorado are smarter than the people in Tennessee.
I don't know. The temperature's very different. The elevation is very different.
Yeah, it's cleaner
people
air.
are much healthier up there because of the
air.
elevation, thinner air.
Yeah.
I mean, it's I don't know, but I have no idea how that correlates to anything. So last week I mentioned the iOS 14 app download and whether anybody out there knew anything about it and whether I should download it or not, because it adds a feature on your iPhone where the little green dot pops up if somebody is recording you or listening to your talking. Well, that afternoon, I came home and there was an automatic update on my phone, and I got the thing. So it's in my phone, the 14 update. So you probably got it too. So last weekend.
Yeah, I'm sure I did.
And so above the bars that show how connected you are to the internet, it's a little thing that will show up there.
Oh.
A little green. No, I think it was orange. Oh, well, anyways, there's going to be a colored dot that shows up above those bars, and then you can shut down whoever is listening to you or whatever. So, exciting stuff.
Yes.
So, I had somebody in this week, and they told me something I have never heard before. And here's the story. So, they go out in January, and they trade in their vehicle for a new car. And they do all the paperwork, and they leave. And then he stops by the insurance guy and says, I need to switch my insurance because I have a new car. It's a different car. So they go ahead and take care of that, go home just like normal, like I've always done. And he gets a fine in the mail of $25 for changing his insurance without deregistering his car, the car he traded in. So he calls the dealership and they tell him that it's not their problem. He goes to the DMV and they say, oh, we'll fix that for you. It's okay. We'll take care of it. So he does everything with them and then goes home, and a month later he gets another fine in the mail that he didn't pay the $25, so now he owes a fine on that fine. And this is going to continue until he pays the fine. And so this is a state law that if you have to make sure your car is deregistered before you change your insurance coverage or you will get a fine.
For not having insurance.
for taking insurance off the car that you did not deregister. And so the bigger thing here is for military personnel who are going to go off somewhere for 8 months and not be driving their car, you should just stop your insurance. You can't do that now. You have to deregister your car, then stop your insurance, or you're going to get a fine. I have never heard of this in my life.
Me either.
I thought it was the craziest thing, and I don't know why this exists. If anybody knows, I would love to have you tell me. 7420940 is the number. But I'd like to understand the reasoning behind it. And so if you want to read more about this, you can go to the Department of Revenue, Georgia, and you can just search deregister auto Georgia. And the website will come up and you can read about it. And there's hyperlinks. So there are hyperlinks you can go to deregister your car, because I don't think the DMV is open right now. And so you'd have to do it all online. But for military people, this is a big deal. The word needs to get spread around, because there's so many people deploying all the time, and that's all you do. That's all Randy ever did, is just stop the insurance and park your car.
Yeah.
So go figure.
I mean, I've sold cars, but I've never deregistered them.
I've never done it in my life. Never heard of it until this guy. So now you learned something.
Are you gonna go over the Biden recommendations for the 401k?
No, it doesn't make sense to me. Randy printed it out for me, and I threw it in the trash, because it's supposed to incentivize people that make less money to put money in the 401k, and I don't know that. I think it's kind of lame, and then it's supposed to hurt the people that make more money. I mean, it's all about that, and it's the change it makes is so small that I didn't think it really mattered.
Currently, contributions you make to your 401k plan at work are made with pre-tax dollars. That reduces your taxable income and trims your tax liability. The benefit is currently skewed toward higher income families and limited for low to middle income workers, says Joe Biden.
What it is it's a percentage of it's a dollar amount that you can contribute. I don't see how it's skewed. It's a dollar amount.
The more you make, the more
well, that's
you can
right.
take.
The more you make, the more everything is better for you. So,
but that's what it says. So it's skewed to it is. It's because
that's the way the world works.
Yeah, but that's
whatever.
Listen, don't worry about the words that we're using. So he's talking about trying to equalize it, the benefits, which could emerge to a tax credit. Could emerge as a tax credit at 26%. I guess that's for the lower income workers, right?
CPAs will love all these tax law changes that everybody wants to make every year.
So by equalizing benefits across the scale, a move that could give savers a tax credit valued at 26%, working families would receive an incentive for stashing money away in retirement plans. Depending on how it's structured, lower income workers might not only be encouraged to save money, they might either reap more tax savings when they file their returns. So, I don't know. Anyway, we got a call. Wake up. CT is sleeping.
We need a robot.
Yeah. Good morning. You're on Your Money with Sherri and Steve.
Hello there.
Good morning.
Hello.
How y'all?
We're really good. How are you?
I'm doing pretty good.
Are you getting out of the house at all, or are you still on lockdown?
I stay on my 6 acres.
Okay.
That's okay.
Yeah. The people that have land and yards and gardens and stuff have been a little bit better off through this whole thing, because they have stuff they can do.
Just don't wander away too far.
I don't. Believe me. I got about 4 things I'd like to talk to you about this morning. Is that okay?
Okay.
Go for it.
Go.
The first thing is my wife. She didn't want to be on the radio, but I'm going to do this for her. She has a bone to pick with somebody.
Uh-oh.
Last week you indicated
It's Sherri.
that a woman that had not worked away from home, had never worked, had not drawn a paycheck.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And she got real upset about that, because anybody that's raised 5 youngins and taken care of me for 47 years has definitely worked.
I wasn't being negative toward people that have been stay-at-home moms or that didn't work. It's just a fact of Social Security and how the program works.
I know. We're just teasing.
So apologize to her for me, please.
Anyway, down to serious things.
Okay.
Are you aware that if you withdraw a certain amount of over a certain amount of cash from a bank, that the bank has to go check with Big Brother and record it?
They have to report it if it's over $10,000.
$10,000. They just report it.
Yeah.
Actually, they've. Well, that's what I was going to ask. Is I think they've dropped it. Dropped the limit. Yes, we were under the impression it was $2,500, and now it's down below $2,500, but we don't know how far down.
What's the point?
Well, this Big Brother's watching you, you know.
Yeah, but
that seems like a waste of time.
I mean, for smaller amounts of money.
Well, just thought I'd ask.
I don't know. I haven't heard that one anywhere, but I'll look it up.
Okay. Also, Sherri, I want to thank you once again for the idea of the, your book. I can't.
The life book?
The
life book, yes. The only problem with it is I keep thinking of things to put in it.
Oh, yeah.
And it keeps getting bigger and bigger.
It does get bigger and bigger, and then you decide you're going to change stuff, and then you have to start over again.
Well, you can just print out the you can print out the pages on our website.
I really need to convert that to a fillable PDF.
Yeah, you really do.
Okay, I'll put that on my book list of things to do.
Yeah.
But anyway.
Yeah, if you could just type everything in.
Yeah, and then print it out, that'd be a lot easier. I've been just in denial about that for years.
How do you do that? You know how to do it?
Randy knows how to do it.
Okay.
Randy will fix it.
Well, what I did was just like the will. My wills, I just included that in there.
Mm-hmm.
And it's separate. It's a separate document all by itself.
So our son knows where ours is, and we tell him this is everything you need to know. If something happens to the two of us and one of us is in the hospital on life support, here's the book. Yeah. Here's where you go, because I don't want to be on life support. That's my biggest thing. I do not want that at all. Yeah. If I can't come back and live, let me go, please.
I like to let you go a lot of times.
Faster, sooner than later.
Can we speed it up today? You have a fillable form. They'll take you now.
Oh, God. All right, that was only 3 things I think you only said, right?
Okay, the fourth one is I asked you about this before and promptly lost it.
Mm-hmm.
I would kind of like to have a set of legal eyes go over my life book to see that everything's lined up like it should be. And well, you gave me a name, and I can't remember it, and I lost it.
So Jennifer Haskins in Macon is my go-to person for this kind of thing. And I would think she would just come up with a flat fee or hourly something to charge you to look at everything.
Okay.
Because the life book's not a legal document.
No.
But he has legal documents in it. He has his will and his you probably did your advance directive, right?
Yes.
Oh, good.
Got that and the will and
power of attorney.
And
perfect.
Just where the keys are hidden to get in the house. Just
exactly
anything and everything I can think of.
So yeah, it's really good you're talking about that. Everybody needs to do it regardless of age. And I'll tell you the craziest scenario that I saw about 5 years ago is I had a husband who was in his 40s and he had an old 401k he wanted us to manage. So he brings the account over and I get to know him. A year later, he passes away of some crazy, bizarre heart something. And so his wife inherits it and she's in her 40s. And so we can move the money to her and start her. Anyways, so we move the money to her. We're managing the money. A year later, the same thing happens to her. Same thing in her 40s. A year later, and so the children inherit the money. I've never seen such a thing, but they had everything in order. They had all of this stuff done and were organized. And so the daughter stepped in, and she could deal with the house and deal with the pets and deal with the funerals. And I mean, it was unbelievable. So people think, well, I'll wait until I'm 65 to get this stuff done. That's not smart. You don't know. You don't know. Driving on I-75 should be the wake-up call. Go through that 16 interchange at 70 miles an hour with a bunch of semi-trucks, and cars cutting in and out from each other. And that should be enough information to tell you to get this stuff done.
Absolutely. Oh, absolutely.
That's true.
Yeah. And it could happen anywhere. I had a client just about 2 months ago. She was at the intersection of Moody Road and Russell Parkway. Tons of accidents there. Her car is totaled. She was extremely injured. I mean, just driving through the intersection and someone didn't stop at the red light. They just came plowing right into her. You got to be a really defensive driver anymore. So, anyways, I'm off on a tangent. Sorry.
That's all right.
That's never happened before. It's the first time ever.
Oh, my goodness. So, do you have anything else?
No, I guess that'll about do it.
Okay. Well, yeah, Jennifer Haskins, she'd be happy to take your money and look at your stuff.
I just, I just keep wondering if I need something else in that book. It's about 3 inches thick now.
Yeah. Well, you're a smart guy. I mean, you know what they need to know.
Yeah, and statements of where your money is, or just even a list of where your money is and what account numbers. What I did on top of what you're doing. So if you want to get really compulsive about this, here's a tip.
Okay.
So Randy and I went out and bought encrypted thumb drives. And we did this because he was doing cybersecurity seminars, and we were talking about all this stuff amidst this massive storm that was coming up out of Florida that was supposedly going to go right through Macon, Georgia. Remember that big storm? And if you turn on the news or you went on the internet, you saw all these people, all they had was a cell phone and a pet. Because they lost their house, they lost their car, they didn't have any legal documents, they had nothing but a phone. They didn't even have a phone charger. So there were all these emergency charging stations being set up so people could function. But anyway, so we saw that, and we bought encrypted thumb drives, and we scanned everything that you're talking about into our computer, and then we saved it on those on the thumb drives, and I have it hooked to it's on my keychain. So wherever I go, I have my thumb drive. So if something bad happened in our world and I had to just grab my purse and get out of here, I have everything.
What I did is I put everything on a thumb drive, and for my son, and so I put the password he wants on it that he uses, so he'll know what to do.
Yeah, that'd be a problem. My son wouldn't be able to get into it because he wouldn't know the password.
So. And
you'd have to get to the safe.
And I have in there, and I update it periodically, what we have and where it is and all this other kind of stuff. So,
that's the problem, keeping it up to date.
Right.
That is the problem. That's absolutely
it is the problem. If people park it, you wouldn't believe, back when I was in the insurance business, I was doing group insurance, open enrollments for companies, and the number of people who would have their mother as their beneficiary, and they're married, they never changed it. So that's another thing people need to make sure is right, because you go to work, you sign up for stuff, and you just set it and forget it. And then 10 years later, you're married, you've got kids, and your mom is still your beneficiary, or your sister.
Even worse, you've got his
ex-wife.
Yeah.
That's the worst.
That's the worst.
You can't fix that once it's broke.
You can't you
can't go back in time.
You can't contest the beneficiary designation.
And if they're on the will, same problem.
Yeah.
Same problem.
And you have to understand that not everything passes through the will, because you name beneficiaries in 401ks and insurance policies, and you have joint owners in banks and stuff like that.
That's the problem.
So you got all those things that you think the will controls, but the will doesn't control. Because if it passes automatically by beneficiary designation, then that's not controlled by the will.
Unless the beneficiary is deceased, and then it has to go through the estate, which is bad.
Which is even worse.
Yes, you don't want that. Anyways, very good call. Very good questions.
Yeah.
Well, anyway,
all right.
Stuff I've been thinking about.
I'm going to look up that bank thing.
Yeah, that one.
That doesn't make any sense. It seems to me that
my wife went to the credit union this past week, and they had to go check on that, whether they could give her that much money or not. And we're only talking about a couple $1,000s. We're not talking about.
Yeah, I know. People want cash. I know that if you make transfers and deposits of over 100,000 is what it was, that it gets reported, or 10,000. I can't remember what it was.
It was 10,000.
10,000.
Yeah.
It gets reported. Nobody looks at it. It's just automatically on a list somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
In
money laundering.
Well, tell her
just
to
even
go
if you transfer, money from your account to Randy's account, it's money, it gets on that list,
right?
And that's not money, and it's really not money laundering per se, I guess, because
I thought that was the point of it.
But you're actually transferring the money.
I thought deposits of greater than 10,000 were reported because of potential money laundering.
Yeah, but there's too many 10,000 at this point. There's too many $10,000 transfers.
So what they look for is deposits just under $10,000.
Yeah,
and track that, because that's who they go after is researching those people's. But I don't know if that's the case anymore.
That's true either.
Maybe money laundering is getting cheaper now.
Well, laundry detergent has gone down. So
Anywho.
All right. Thanks for calling.
Great calls.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a great day.
Thank you.
So Trump is going to roll out these discount cards, and you're on Medicare, so you're going to get one of these, I guess, because there is no income cap. So the Medicare is funded by 2 trust funds held by the U.S. Treasury. Medicare beneficiaries will soon receive a card in the mail. My mother-in-law still hasn't received her stimulus money, and she's on Social Security.
Really?
Never got it. She and her husband have never received it. Is that crazy?
Yeah.
Doesn't make any sense. She's on direct deposit. Anyways, Medicare beneficiaries will soon receive a card in the mail that can be used to help pay for up to $200 in prescription drug costs. It's going to cost $6 billion.
They're giving everybody $6 billion?
Sorry, you're only getting $200 in a gift card kind of thing. And so this reminded me, GoodRx. You probably have never had to use this. GoodRx, the app. I had a session with a girl last year. She was in her 30s, and she was trying to lay out a plan to save more money and be able to retire someday. And her expenses were off the chart. She was spending, single person, $200 a month on a cell phone, $200 a month on cable and internet, and she was spending maybe $500 a month on prescription drugs. She was taking tons of stuff. She had tons of health problems, and she's like, I can't move forward. I can't save money. I'm trapped in this thing. And so the first thing we did is I said, you need to get rid of your cell phone plan and move to Straight Talk, $50 a month, unlimited data, and with a mobile hotspot. Use the mobile hotspot as your Wi-Fi and get rid of your Wi-Fi. That will save you a pile of money right there. And then there was something else with their cable that I told her to do that she could do to cut the cable, because we haven't had cable for years. And then on the prescription drugs, she had the list of drugs with her because of her health conditions. And I put those things in GoodRx. So guess who is the most expensive pharmacy?
Who?
Rite Aid. She was going to Rite Aid.
Still around?
She was still going. Yeah, she was going to one last year.
Really?
She was in Macon. So I think they closed too.
Yeah, they got bought
well,
out by
anyways,
somebody.
she was filling all of her prescriptions there because she assumed everybody charged the same amount. Yeah. I said, that is not true. That is the most expensive pharmacy you could possibly go to. So we took all of her drugs, and GoodRx is a free app, and you put in your zip code, and then you literally type in the name of your drug, and it gives you a list of cheapest to most expensive. And so our cat needed sinus drops last year. She has allergies. A cat with allergies is trying to put drops in a cat.
I thought cats gave people allergies.
They do. It's crazy. So you have to put these drops, try to get these drops up her nose. Try to do that with a cat. So
wait till you have to test her for COVID.
Oh gosh. So anyway, so I typed in the drug, and Kroger came up the cheapest, and it was like $8, and the most expensive was like $24.
Wow.
It's huge. This girl, I typed her drugs into the app and saved her $200 by showing her how to use the app. $200 a month just on her prescriptions, because Walmart and Kroger were the most competitive. And Kroger has a drug plan now where I think you can put 5 people that are unrelated, 5 people or people and pets mixed in a plan for like $80 a year, and you get discounts on all of it on top of them being cheaper anyways. But if you spend a lot of money on prescriptions, you really need to download that app and take a look at it today, because it was staggering to me how much we saved her so much money in 1 hour. It was huge. Yep. So anyways, they just announced an IPO. They're going public, and more people are using this kind of thing, and they have lots of competition coming on board too now. I'm not recommending you buy it. I'm just telling you what's going on as a disclaimer.
Yes.
What else you got?
You need disclaimers. Why aren't more highly intelligent people rich? A Nobel Prize-winning economist says another factor matters a lot more. Intelligence is important, but intelligence without effort is sometimes wasted. Nobel Prize-winning economist James Heckman likes to ask people how great a role innate intelligence plays in financial success. Like how much the difference of between income and yours, for example, is based on a relative IQ. Most people say about 25%. Some go as high as 50%. And the writer says, and this is from, I don't know who this is from. even more. But Heckman's research reveals something else entirely. Innate intelligence plays at best a 1 to 2% role in a child's future success. Instead, financial success is correlated with conscientiousness, self-discipline, perseverance, and diligence.
And self-control.
Yes.
I think that's a big factor.
That's a huge factor. That comes as no surprise to people familiar with the research on married couples. People with relatively prudent and reliable partners tend to perform better at work, earning more promotions, making more money, and feeling more satisfied.
Because they don't have chaos at home.
So the worst case is you got a spender married to a saver.
Yes.
That's absolutely the worst case you could
You're
possibly
butting heads
have.
all day long.
Yeah, all the time. And, I still think, and I'm not a psychologist, so I don't know. I still think it has to do with whether you're a logical thinker or you're an emotional thinker. So if you make rash decisions and you want to feel good and you do things to feel good, you're going to run out of money. But if you're looking at it logically,
or if you're trying to show everybody how much money you have by buying stuff,
yeah, that too.
That's a problem.
Yeah, and so if you're a logical thinker, you're going to think things through. If you're an emotional thinker, you're going to do what feels good, and always doing what feels good is the wrong answer. It just is, and so that's part of the problem. And then of course you've got to have somebody be married to somebody who feels the same way you do. And so you got that. A good partner sets a good example and makes it possible for you to be a better you. Granted, luck also plays a major role in success. As the researchers write, the maximum success never coincides with maximum talent and vice versa. Our simulation shows that such a factor is just pure luck. But you can't control luck, and you can only partially control IQ. While you can certainly become more educated, fluid intelligence, the ability to think logically and solve problems, independent of acquired knowledge, sometimes trainable, but it tends to work better than just being emotional and doing what feels good. And that's where people go wrong.
And I tell you what,
and that's the killer. The worst thing is two women shopping together, and one says to the other, "Oh, you'd look wonderful in that." You know?
Well, that can't even happen now because you can't try anything on.
Yeah, well, that's good. So people should be saving money.
That's right. People are saving money because they can't spend it.
They're making it up at Amazon.
Yes.
So.
But I tell you, a big problem that I've observed, and I talk to clients who are business owners that have to hire people. And I had someone in my office 2 weeks ago, and she was hiring very high-level people out of a very high-level school that were supposedly really phenomenal students. And she hired two of them 2 different times, and they would not work. They had no work ethic. They had no desire to help her or to make the business great. They just wanted to get paid. And she was paying them a huge salary, and she had to fire them both. And she said it was so depressing because she needs help, and she's like, I don't know where to go to find it. And it's crazy, but kids they're not having to do chores. They're not having to get part-time jobs in high school. They're not having to do the hard things that you do and you have to suck it up and do even if you don't want to. They're sitting around playing video games all day long, and then you put them through college and you expect them to change and become some motivated person. You have to teach motivation. You can't. It's not natural. It doesn't just come naturally, just like gratitude doesn't come naturally. You have to be taught that. You have to be taught a work ethic. You have to be taught to suck it up when things are bad and do the right thing. You know, that has to be modeled, or you don't have it, and then you're just flailing around. It's like when Shelby went to college, she called me about a week in, and she goes, "You're not going to believe what I'm doing." I said, "What?" She said, "I'm teaching everyone in the floor how to do laundry. They've never washed a load of clothes in their lives."
Really?
So we spent the senior year of her making her responsible for everything and giving her a stipend monthly that she had to go buy all of her personal care products, all of her own clothes, all of her own. She had to work to pay for her gas, and we paid her insurance, we paid for her cell phone. But she had to work. She had to parse that money out over a month and get the stuff that she had to have, and we just made her be on her own for a year while she was still at home. So she did her own laundry, she did her own everything. And so it was an easy transition for her, but these other kids were just flailing around. I don't get it. I don't get propping them up and not letting them learn and making life too easy for them. No, life is not easy all the time, and if you're not prepared and you didn't realize it wasn't going to be easy, you're going to get blown out of the water first time you have a hard job.
So don't marry one of those people.
Yeah.
Be careful who you marry.
And the secondary thing is, smart people don't always make a good choice on a careers, and the whole world is shifting as far as where the careers are. It's all shifting, and they need to be aware of that. You need to talk to them about it and help them make good decisions about what they study and where they want to be. I was talking to a client last week. Her son went to Mercer on a full ride, IT, 2 years Mercer, 2 years Georgia Tech, degree in IT, and his goal was to get a job in Japan and to learn Japanese. While he was going to college, he learned Japanese on his own. He applied for jobs over there, and he lives over there now. He's living over there, and he's fluent in Japanese, and he did it on his own. But he's super smart. He's way smarter than me. I mean, there's no way I could do all that. Yeah. But he has the right brain, and he channeled himself. They didn't even channel him in that. He did it on his own because he went out and did research and figured out what he wanted to do, and boom, here he is. Yeah. It's amazing what some kids do, and then it's amazing how some kids have such a struggle. But you got to figure out what you can be good at, and the only way you can find out what you can be good at is by having experience. And if you don't work, you have no experience. And then how do you figure out what you want to do?
See, I think it's a luck of the draw how you are born, as far as whether you're a logical person or an emotional person. Because I mean, people are just born that way.
I think you can be modeled to become that way.
But you have to work at it.
Yes.
And but it's difficult. It's difficult to do. It's difficult for some people to spend money if they have, even if they have it, and it's difficult for some people not to spend money.
Yes.
So I think you're kind of. I've always said you're either a logical thinker or you're an emotional thinker. I think that's just how people. I think you're born that way.
But I think you can learn, because I've seen with this virus, both of our kids have changed their thinking about money. And they both are more motivated than ever to pay off debt. And our daughter went through the Dave Ramsey course, which is you can do online for free. And they did a shift. They have both done a complete shift of wanting to be debt-free bad because of this virus and this shutdown and watching a spouse get laid off. And what would that look like if it was permanent? Yeah. They got scared into it. So I'm hoping a lot of people out there are getting a clue that if you don't have savings, it's bad. Bad to not have savings and not have money to fall back on, and now you can't pay your rent, you're going to get evicted. And if even though they're not evicting people through the end of this year because they passed that executive order, you still owe that money. How are you going to pay that in January?
Yeah. If you can't pay it now, you can't pay it when it totals.
And you're going to be on the hook for it. You can't walk away from it. You signed a lease. So that's going to be really, really horrific if people don't get back to work and start saving money. So, anyways, good conversation. So they're talking about Friday. Democrats were talking about a new $2.4 trillion stimulus plan with unemployment aid. The bill would include enhanced unemployment insurance, direct payments to Americans, paycheck protection stuff for small business loan funding, and aid to airlines. And they've chopped $1 trillion from the previous proposal that they couldn't get anybody to agree on. So they could vote on it as soon as next week, but that's the House. So we shall see, but there are still, the airline, they're just now furloughing people, and extra money from the federal government is out as of the end of this month. So you're down to only state benefits, and those people are going to have huge pay drops.
Yeah.
That's going to be rough.
So,
what else?
Do you want to talk about that?
The Georgia Advance Directive?
Yeah.
Just where it is. Yeah. So
you can go. So if you need an advance directive, how you want to be taken care of if something happens.
If you're incapacitated and you can't come back to BU, the form is free and it's online.
Yeah, and here's the website: www.caringinfo.org.
And it's the National Hospice website and palliative care. So
just search Advanced Directives Georgia when you get there.
What you do is you scroll down to the Advanced Directive and you pick your state. And so you can share this website with all of your family because they have the specific advanced directives for every state. And so you could send them an email and hey, even better, You could look up the advance directive for all your relatives and give this to them as a
Christmas
present.
Oh, my God.
And it's free.
Another practical Christmas present.
All you have to do is pay postage, and you can put it in a little red folder. I have people that have given the life books to people for Christmas.
Well, I can understand the life book.
But if you're really cheap, because the life books are $10, and I don't.
You got to pay for the life book, but this thing you can get.
Well, the life book pages are free on our website. If you get the binder and we put it together, we charge $10, and I don't even take the $10 anymore. I ask people to donate it to the Library Foundation Fund. Anyways, the information is in it. But so if you want one with the binder to give as a Christmas present, call the office and we'll hook you up. So there was a fun article about all these people that have been laid off and what they're doing to start their own businesses, but this one is the most fun one. This lady, her kids were out of school, so she couldn't work, 3 kids. Her husband's working from home, though, so she signed up to deliver groceries with Instacart. And have you ever done that? Mm-mm. So I have clients that do it because they don't even want to go to Kroger. They don't even want to drive to Kroger. They don't want to leave the house. They've changed. I talked to them last week, and they're starting to leave the house because they're going stir crazy. But you can order all your deliveries and just download the Instacart app, and they will go pick up your order for you and bring it to your house and leave it on your front porch. And then you just pick it up and carry it inside. And so this lady is delivering groceries and earning $700 a week. Plus, her mileage is deductible on her tax return because she's a self-employed person. So it's probably not even any countable income, depending on how much she's driving.
Right.
When I started in the insurance business, my mileage deduction for being self-employed wiped out my earnings the first 2 years. It's crazy. People need to understand how that works if they're going to go out and do something like this. But that's $700 a week. That's pretty decent. But there's other people that have started all sorts of different kinds of businesses. It's pretty fun.
Retirement crisis for women is even worse than you think. Earning less, doing more care work, and living longer can add up to money troubles later in life, research says. American women are facing a much bigger retirement crisis than men. They are likely to earn less during their working lives, and they live longer after they retire, and they take on extra unpaid responsibilities instead of paid work, such as looking after children, elderly parents, and they're
the default caregivers.
Yeah, and most financially devastating of all, a sick or disabled spouse. The problem gets even bigger. This is a study from the National Institute. They didn't need to do a study to find this out.
Right.
I mean, there's no way they had to do a study for this.
This information has been out for a long time.
This is part of this is a government agency, as you can imagine. Older women receive approximately 80% of the retirement income that older men receive. The 20% gap between men and women's average retirement income is about the same as the gender pay gap during working years. The gap really gets worse later in retirement as more women become widows. Women experience a steep decline in income past 80. Women age 80 and older are much likely to be widows. Healthcare costs and long-term care costs in retirement age are challenging for most people, but can be more so for women who bear these costs for living longer and may have already spent down assets if their spouse predeceased them. This isn't new. Women with husbands who are 2.5 years older should expect to be sole breadwinner of their household for over a decade, according to this lady at TIAA. So you got to plan for this. In total, 27% of American women over 65 are poor. 27% of women over 65 are poor or near poor, compared with 20% of American men. On the other hand, researchers say women who get and stay married and those who have children young or not at all are far less likely to face retirement crisis than their peers. One of the biggest problems, you see, is they give money to their kids. You know?
Right. I stopped them from that. I said, don't even tell them how much you got, and don't give them anything for a year, because you got to figure out your own life first. You got to make sure you can take care of yourself first.
Because it's ridiculous. So
I had a case of this just in the last 2 weeks. It was a husband and wife. She stayed home and raised the kids. He's been the breadwinner. They're looking at retiring in 10 years. And the problem is he's self-employed. And so they have some savings. They still have some debt. And I asked if they had any life insurance. And he said, yeah, but it runs out this year. I said, please go to selectquote.com and buy a policy to bridge you the 10 years until you will have saved what you needed to have saved to take care of the two of you. Because if something happens to you tomorrow and all of a sudden you're not working and she's in her 50s and won't get Social Security, she would get Social Security as a survivor starting at 60, but it'll be reduced. So, is that right? Will it be reduced? Now that I say that, I question that.
Not at yeah,
it'll be reduced because he died before his full retirement age, but she would get the full benefit. Survivor is not reduced. It's spousal that's reduced.
Right.
That's right. Anyway, so I said, this is scaring me that you just have this amount of money, and if he dies from a car wreck, you're sitting here with all this debt and a mortgage, and, I mean, there's no way you could make it. You'd have to downsize everything, and I don't know where you, I mean, it would be bad. So where I tell people to go to get life insurance is selectquote.com. It's so easy. You put in your age, you put in your health, what you think you're healthy, how healthy you think you are, how much you want, what term, 10-year, 20, 30-year term, how much insurance you want, and they farm it out to all the major carriers, and those people email you quotes. You pick a quote, they send you paperwork, you fill out the paperwork.
You have to get
a mini medical exam.
Yeah.
You call the people, you book the mini medical exam in your home or your office. They'll come wherever you are and go. It takes 15 minutes to do the exam in a basic case. But you send it all in, they approve it, you pay a premium, you're done. I did Randy 10 years ago. I wanted to bridge him until he got his pension. And his runs out this year, his $1 million. And he was like, he came home one day, and I had this paperwork, and I said, I need you to sign this paperwork. He said, what is it? I said, it's $1 million life insurance. And he's like, why do you need that? I said, because you might die. You might die. We have kids headed off to college. I'm self-employed. This is scary. I got to make sure I'm going to be okay. And he didn't die, and that's good. The insurance, whatever, we paid these premiums all these years. I don't care. It was to protect us.
Right.
So it's really important. Life insurance and making sure, like we said, your beneficiaries are correct on it, too. Good.
And with term insurance, you just go for you know exactly how much you got, you know exactly how long it's good for, and what the premium's going to be, so you just pick the cheapest company as long as they're good companies. And that's all you have to do.
And Select Quote only has good companies.
Yeah.
So it's not, and you're not going to have agents. The best part is nobody's going to call you. You're not going to have all these agents calling and hounding you, trying to get you to do something. You simply, if you have a question, you can call Select Quote and they'll talk to you. But they're not going to try to shove anything down your throat. That's what I love about it most. You're not having to deal with people. You're just dealing with the numbers and making a logical choice and getting it done. And it's very easy. Yep. All right. I've got a question. So there are all these high-tech people trying to figure out how to trace and track virus infections and whatever you want to call them. And they've come up, one company has come up with an injectable biochip that would ping a computer somewhere if it looked like you were starting to have symptoms of a virus. And so it would know where you are all the time because it's going to track you. And so there are people that want something like this because they think this is how we could stop it. If we could identify people, and I was talking to a nurse this week. She said the first thing that happens when you get the flu is your heart rate goes up. She said that's the first thing. And so that's the first thing they want to track is your heart rate, then fever, and then probably some others, blood oxygen level and whatever. So would you want a chip implanted in you to track you so they could identify you as a potential risk before you went out in the public and spread it around?
No.
You don't want the chip?
I don't want anything in me.
I'm ready for my credit card to be a chip in my wrist. I can just swipe over stuff.
Well, we try that. We'll do that this week.
Okay.
I'll bring a sewing kit with me. We'll cut your credit card up and just take the chip out of it, and I'll sew it into your arm.
Okay. Let's give it a shot and see how that works. But people are really up in arms about this concept because of the tracking. And I have one client that found out that her car tracks for driving. And I said, all the new cars do. They track your driving habits. They know where you are. And data is all recorded at the manufacturer because they're trying to figure out, their story is they're trying to figure out wear and tear based on your driving habits and what they should do different on the next version of that car. That's what they say. I doubt that they care where you really are. Right?
Well, your phone tracks you.
Right.
It has to, because how are you going to work Google if it doesn't know where you are?
See, I don't have any location stuff in mine on. I keep the mapping off.
Oh, I keep my mappings on.
It eats a lot of data, so I've turned it off. I've turned off just about everything unless just the stuff I really want.
You know, it's amazing how many worthless apps you end up downloading.
Yeah, I need to go clean them out.
Yeah, I got to get a new phone. What do you have? Yep.
I did the 12. If you're going to get a new phone, you're going to Verizon?
No, AT&T.
Well, get there early and be the first person in line so that you can get in before all the other herd shows up. Because I was second in line, and I had to wait an hour to get in my car.
Really?
Yes, and then it took an hour because there was only one person working in the whole store. One person working, and all these angry people lined up outside in their cars. Wow. Because you can't use the bathroom. You can't get a drink of water. So prepare for that before you show up. So I'm out there in the car 45 minutes into it drinking my bottles of water that I drink all day. I'm a big water drinker. And so I called the store and I said, hey, I've been out here 45 minutes. I'm number 2 on the list. Can I use your bathroom? Oh, no, sorry. We can't let anybody in to use the bathroom. How can I use the bathroom everywhere else and not at Verizon, and they can't just spray it down with something? It makes no sense.
So you're already a Verizon customer, so they give you any special deals or anything, do you think?
I'll get to that. So I said, so what happens if I drive over to Kroger and use the bathroom and then come back and in the meantime, you come out to get me and I'm not here? She goes, we bump you down on the list. I'm like, you got to be kidding me. I've been sitting here for 45 minutes. This is ridiculous. And so I went to Kroger. She goes, I think you got plenty of time because we're still having to do the download off this guy's phone onto his new phone. So I ran to Kroger, came back, got in there, and it took an hour. It was unreal. So I got the 12, and so they have a deal going on that they'll give you a discount if you upgrade. And the discount I got was like maybe $125 is all I got. It wasn't the $425 that you heard about. You have to upgrade to much more stuff to get that. But you can call ahead and talk to them, and they can tell you what they can do. But you can't call and make an appointment. At least a month ago you couldn't. I don't know if they're doing that now. I haven't checked, but I would call first before I go. And if you're going to have to stand in a line or sign up outside and wait in your car, you want to be there early and be number 1. You do not want to be number 15 in your car all day needing to go to the bathroom. Good grief. All right, no SARS biochips for you.
So they give you a deal? So no deal, right?
It's not really a deal, but my phone was so crappy I had to do something.
See, I guess if you change carriers, then you get a deal. In
I
other
don't
words,
know.
if you're already a customer, like I'm an AT&T customer, if I go to AT&T, I'll get no great deal. But if I went to Verizon and switched, I'd get a good deal.
Or you could wait and get the Apple 14 when it comes out.
Or I could wait longer and get the Apple 16 when it comes out, the Apple 22.
That's true. By that time, your phone will be completely non-functional.
It's getting that way. I got all these photos I take and I never take them out.
Yeah, you need to delete that.
I know.
So the VA announced a couple weeks ago, and I think I mentioned this already, but just in case you didn't hear me, they have rolled out a new program for comprehensive assistance for family caregivers. And the problem is that older veterans who served in the military a long time ago, before 1975, were not included in the current aid and attendance program, which I did not even know that. I had no clue about that. So they have rolled this program out. So if you have an aging parent that tried to get care and they weren't eligible because they didn't serve during the time periods that aid and attendance makes you have to serve under, you need to go back to the VA and call them and talk to them about your parent, because they may be eligible now as of October 1st is when this thing rolls out. And if you need information on that, I'll hang on to this article in case you want me to forward it to you. You can email me at Sherri, Sherri, @rfmoney.com. All right?
So does anybody who's been in the military for any period of time get to use?
No.
No. Has to be career.
Certain periods, there's certain periods of war. Like if you served during Desert Storm, there's that. There's different tranches of people that it's available for.
And Vietnam's obviously available.
Yes, obviously.
But what if you were in during Vietnam, but you didn't? And served?
You weren't in the theater?
Yeah.
So I'm mixing up two programs. I am mixing up in my head disability compensation and aid and attendance. So I think I'm being wrong. But if you served physically on the ground, it used to be if you served physically on the ground in Vietnam during the war, they assume you were exposed to Agent Orange. But they have expanded that now, too. I should probably talk about that next week. Because there are probably people out there that are eligible that don't know, but I'll look that up.
Okay. Anyway, we are out of time. That was a fast hour.
Yeah.
Too bad Sherri doesn't like to talk. Anyway, if you want to learn more about Rosenberg Financial Group, Retire Relax is our website. A lot of free reports, videos, good information. Tells us what we do, how we do it. We manage money for our retired and soon-to-be retired clients. And we watch the accounts on a daily basis, and we make changes when we feel that it's necessary. So, 'cause what you want to try to avoid are large losses because they're hard to make up. You lose 20%, you got to make up 25%. If you lose 50% value, you got to make 100% gain, and there's not a lot of 100% gains around. So, anyway, retirerelax.com. You can come in for a free consultation, either with Sherri or me in our Warner Robins or Macon office. Have a great week. See you next week.
The views expressed on this show should not be construed directly or indirectly as an offer to buy or sell any securities or services mentioned herein. Investing is subject to risk, including loss of principal invested. Past performance is not a guarantee of future results. No strategy can assure a profit nor protect against loss. Please note that individual situations can vary. Therefore, the information should only be relied upon when coordinated with individual professional advice. Securities are offered through Royal Alliance Associates Incorporated, member FINRA and SIPC. Advisory services are offered through Rosenberg Financial Group, a registered investor advisor not affiliated with Royal Alliance Associates Incorporated. Offices are located at 2517 Moody Road, Warner Robins, and 4875 Riverside Drive, Suite 201 in Macon. Phone numbers are 922-8100 and 741-4457.